Good afternoon, Eagles, and welcome back to Eagles Sports Update, your window into the world of sports here at Eastern Michigan. As always, I'm your host, James Dorr, here with my co-host today, filling in, Queso Tone.
Yes, that's right, James. This week we are talking about baseball with some of Eastern's most exciting athletes, Jackson Militello and Cooper Vance. But first, let's get things started by looking back at the last week of our EMU teams with our first segment, This Week in Ypsi Sports.
On March 15th, Eastern lost the first game of the Morehead State Series 12-2. Cooper Vance had a home run, and Darren Kraft had an RBI in the second inning to give the Eagles the lead, with Vance's home run in the fourth giving them a 2-0 lead. Although it was starting off well, the Eagles let in 12 unanswered scores over the remaining 4 innings in the game. Lucas Johnson, the RBI from Darren Kraft, successfully stole second base for the second time this season, making him 2 for 2 on steals this season.
On March 18th, Eastern dropped both games, losing 12-23 in the day's first game. Logan Hugo and Blake McCray both had RBIs at the top of the first to open up the scoring. Morehead State scored 9 runs in the first inning, and Eastern scored in the first inning, who has a 3-2 record when doing so. 5 players recorded a home run, including a back-to-back home run. Blake McCray had 3 hits and 3 RBIs on the same day, including a 2 RBI home run. Eastern was unable to score after the 7th inning when it came to the second game. Eastern lost 17-4. Eastern did not score until the 3rd inning and were down 7-0. Blake McCray and Kyle Skordal had multiple hits in the game, and Cameron McCoy made his season debut with the Eagles. Skordal had an hour in the game, tying him for the team lead.
On the 17th, Eastern won the final game of the Morehead State Series, preventing the sweep and tying the team record in doubles in a game. Drew Jones had 2 hits and pitched the 9th inning in the game, marking the first time an Eagle has gotten a hit and a save in a single season since 2016. Gianno Zuccaro had 4 hits, 2 doubles, and Brennan Keelman had 3 RBIs with 2 doubles to lead the Eagles. The Eagles won despite being out-hit 14-3.
On March 15th, Alex vs. Butler was the first opener for the lacrosse team. The Eagles won 15-8 while going on a 9-score run to open the game. Mackenzie Blackwell had 6 goals on the day. Including the opening and closing score, Eastern dominated the match, scoring 4 in the first and last quarters, and did not allow more than 4 scores in all. But one quarter, Sydney Lawrence, Amber Alderman, and Caitlin Beham each scored 2 goals. Eastern is now 3-3 on the year.
On March 14th through the 16th, Eastern competed against some of the best collegiate divers in the Group C diving events. Eastern had 2 people placed in the top 30. In the 1-meter dive prelims, Cameron Hughes finished 29th out of 56. She scored 231.55 points in the 6 dive format. Sierra Wheeler also had a nice day, finished right behind in 30th, scoring 229.80 points. Kira Viglian placed 38th with 220.55 points, and Savannah Frisk finished 46th with 208.35 points. And Rebecca Knapp placed 51st, notching 197.75 points. Much like Hughes, Knapp, and Vio Thielen, all qualified the 3-meter dive section as well. Knapp finished 26 out of 50 at the diver, scoring 250 points. Hughes scored 233.55 points, placing 35th, and Thielen managed to get 41st with 224.50 points. Great job, Eastern Divers.
On the 14th and 16th, also, Eastern's swimming team competed at the College Swimming and Diving Coaches Association of America, also known as the CSCAA. The National Invitational Championships were held in Ocala, Florida. Eagles finished 27th out of 54 teams overall in the 200-yard relay. Katie Schoen, Marley Christie, Lucy Noble, and Kirsten Russell placed 7 out of 38th. Kirsten Russell made the finals cut in the 50-yard backstroke, placing 13th with a time of 25.52, which is 0.32 seconds faster than her time in the prelims.
Wow, That's a good time. On March 15th and the 16th, the track and field team completed in a 2-day event hosted by the University of Central Florida called the Black and Gold Invitational. Claire Allen placed 8th in the shot put with a personal best heave of 14.27 meters, 4609.60 for those who are keeping stats. The 8th best mark in outdoor program history, Fleur van der Linden earned a spot on the outdoor program top 10 with the personal best 3.8 meters, 12:05.60 for a 5th place finish in the outdoor vault. And Soraya Walks finished 14th out of 91 competitors in a personal best time in the 200-meter dash. Go along with Kayla Muir, got 5th in the 2,000-meter steeplechase in a personal best 7:35.11. All 3 of Eastern's participants in the long jump, Antonia Woods, Kyra Buffin, and Nyla Joseph Guevara, finished in the top 20 of the event, with Antonia garnering 7th place. Gabe Singh finished 2nd in the 400-meter hurdles in 52.43 on Friday. Eric Hadlock Jr. and Jan Yopes and Ribeiro placed 5th and 6th in the men's long jump. Miranda Caldwell finished 5th in the hammer throw, and Michael Martin finished 4th in the women's high jump, setting a new school top 10 mark. Kyra Buffin placed 6th in the triple jump. Ryan Johnson and Jake McCarron placed 3rd and 4th, respectively, in the hammer throw. Johnson's 64.62 meter throw goes down as the 3rd best in program history. Usman Kamara placed 4th in the men's high jump, and the almighty Williamson had Eastern's best finish for the competition, finishing 2nd in the 110-meter hurdles. Kaylin Robinson also took bronze in the 400-meter dash, setting a personal best time as well.
On March 16th, the Eagles tennis played at the Miami, Ohio MAC opener. The Eagles opened divisional play with a loss of 4-3. The team took 3 of the doubles matches to secure the first point. Miami won 3 of the singles matches to take a 3-1 lead. Sabrina Brichakova and Kashuya Seniko won their matches to tie it to 3-3. Although that's the case, the Red Hawks won the final match, dropping the tennis team to 6-7 on the season.
Going back to the lacrosse team, on March 17th, Eastern played Marquette, losing 14-5 in the match. Maddie Porter faced a record 44 shots, stopping 30 of them. Mackenzie Blackwell also scored 3 goals, another impressive game for the freshman phenom.
The women's gymnastics team rounded off the regular season at Ball State University on March 17th. The team placed 2nd in the match with a score of 195.100. Eagles scored a 48.950 on the bars and also managed to score 48.800 on the vault. Alana Fisher, who had a nearly perfect 9.900 vault score for a new personal best, which was good enough to the 2nd highest score in the overall event. To round off, the team earned a 49.1 on the floor section and then finished the meeting on the beam scoring 48.300.
On March 17th through the 19th, the women's golf team participated at the Bobby Nichols Intercollegiate in Somerville, Tennessee. The Eagles finished 4th place out of 10th. Anna Watson finished 3rd in the event with a 227, marking the 2nd time this season she's finished 3rd. Riley Kim tied for 11th with a score of 235.
On March 16th, the EMU basketball team went up against U of M. Eastern routed U of M 14-4 in 7 innings. Eastern was up 3-0 with 3 hours by the 3rd before U of M was able to make it back up. After getting 3 runs in the 3rd, U of M would only score 1 more run, and Eastern, on the other hand, would get 11. Gianno Zuccaro went 4-5 with 2 doubles and 2 RBI. Kyle Scrodel and Blake McCray had a home run and 3 RBI apiece. Lucas Johnson led the team with 4 RBI, a home run, and a double. The team was able to break a 9-game losing streak against U of M. They were unable to load the bases with 2 outs in the top of the 7th, which prevented them from scoring. EMU had 5 runs in the bottom of the 7th, making its lead at 14-4 and invoking the 10-run rule to end the game.
So much for the MAC Big Ten difference, right? The baseball team. On the 22nd, though, the tennis team played ball in the division home opener. The Eagles were able to beat Ball State 6-1. The victory put them at 500 both on the season and in division play. Eagles secured 1 point due to Ball State being unable to field 6 players for the singles. Forfeiting a 6th position, Eagles won both of the first doubles matches. Way to be ready, ladies. Forfeiting the 3rd, the Eagles did give up a point in the singles match, but it was a close game. Nonetheless,
on the 22nd and 23rd, the track and field team partook in the Clyde Hart Classic at Baylor University. The Eagles secured 4 finishes in the top 3, the men all finishing as runner-up, including Almighty Williamson in the 110-meter hurdle, Gabe Sink in the 400-meter hurdle, and Formula Thompson in the long jump. The women's finish was 3rd in the triple jump by Maria Jalanska. Fuller Van Der Linden finished 8th in the pole vault, while Allison Davis, Soraya Walks, Micaiah Worthy, and Josephine Oil finished 6th in the 4x100 relay. Jake McKieran finished 5th in the hammer throw for the men.
at the Gymnastics MAC Championships held on March 23rd, Razia Boris was named both the MAC Gymnast of the Year as well as the Senior Gymnast of the Year. The Eagles began the competition on a vault scoring of 48.590. Elena Fisher tied for third best with a 9.90 in the event. Eastern had its second highest composite score of the day on the bars with the 48.75, and on the beam as well, as the team did a nice job scoring from the floor and look to build on this momentum going into next year. As EMU scoring a 39.200, good for third place in the overall event. At the end of the day, the Eagles came in sixth place to round out the event.
Last but not least, the baseball team on March 23rd beat division rival Western Michigan 11-4 in the opening game of their 4-game series. In second of the homestand, Eagles jumped out to an early lead with 6 runs in the first inning. All 9 starters managed to reach base safely or get a hit. Bobby Jones started and pitched 8 innings, giving up 4 runs on 6 hits. Corey Taylor went 3-4 with 2 doubles and 3 RBIs. Lucas Johnson went 2-4 and had 3 RBIs as well. Speaking of baseball, let's wrap up this segment this week in Ypsi and move on to our next segment, which will be continuing to talk about the Eagles on the diamond and sitting down with baseball players Jackson Militello and Cooper Vance.
Now let's begin the baseball breakdown just with a couple stats for the team this year. So far on the season, they have begun play as they are currently 9-14 record overall, and they are winners of 4 of last 5 games. They are currently in top half of conference in both hitting and pitching categories, as a tough non-conference schedule has led them to be successful so far in the early going of conference season. Okay, so I ask you, what have you seen that you've liked from this team so far?
Man, I've seen great chemistry, man. I've seen just greatness.
Seen greatness. Well, I'll say this. It's a lot of new faces for the Eagles as a new coach brought in, right?
Yes.
And the ability, as well as the Eagles players have brought in a lot of transfers. And we are fortunate enough to get to talk to one of those transfers today, Cooper Vance. Looking forward to that. But for the Eagles in baseball, it's a little bit different as the top 6 teams in the conference get to qualify for the conference tournament. Currently, our Eagles are in 4th place, looking to build upon that, as they have really started to come along and come alive as lately, as we've seen them really pick it up in terms of their offense. What do you think they need to do in terms of pitching to be better in terms of, giving up less runs to be able to build upon, their great offensive output?
I think that they need to continue to bring that greatness.
Little words said, but true nonetheless, Mr. Queso-Tone. Most definitely need to bring the greatness. In terms of the pitching, it'll be interesting to see if they start to expand. It seems like they're relying on a lot of the same guys. Nick Chutman is currently their ERA leader with a 3.82 ERA. It'll be interesting to see. Would love for them, to give our guy in the studio, Cooper Vance, a couple more chances on the mound. But I think there's a deep pitching rotation that they really haven't tapped into yet. And I think conference play is a great time to do it as games are coming more often as they're no longer long weekend tournaments. So I think it'll be a great opportunity for the Eagles to see some of the depth they have. Just kind of, so talk about, the importance of, giving guys opportunities within the rotation and just, what that does as a confidence as a player.
I mean, giving everybody a chance is very much important, you know what I'm saying? You want everybody to showcase their skills. You want everybody to showcase what they've been training for. So, yeah, I think giving everybody a fair chance is the best idea.
Best idea, no doubt. But for the Eagles, I think it will be important as well for them to upkeep that 269 team batting average and also being able to keep their high on base percentage. For them, I think, being able to continue to be able to score in a variety of ways. We mentioned the fact that, their ability to steal bases. I think that's something they can take more of an advantage of, in addition to, playing a little more small ball as well. This team kind of relies a lot on power, a lot on home runs. What do you think they need to do, and being able to build off of that in offensive output in terms of for the Eagles to continue to have their success in conference play?
Man, like I said before.
Say it again, man.
They need to bring that greatness.
But you talk about greatness. What is the mental part that brings out the greatness?
Man, grit.
Grit. It's all about grit.
It's all about grit.
And I'm looking forward to meeting with both Cooper Vance and Jackson Militello for this Baseball for Dummies segment coming up.
That I need to be a part of.
And in addition to that, we will also have them coming back for a full-time interview as well, and we'll get to learn a little more about who they are as baseball players on and off the field of the Diamond. Okay.
So I tried logging into my .emish account and it wouldn't let me in. So I went down to the help desk and they said I had already changed my password. No I didn't. Shortly after that, my apartment was broken into. Yeah, if you put 2 and 2 together, you know where they go. My address. They got my password, got onto my .emish account, and stole my class schedule and my home address. They knew when I wasn't going to be home. I should have known that a password of ABCD1234 isn't too hard to guess. Now, I'm more careful about choosing a password. I take a word that's 8 to 10 letters long that isn't too personal to me, and I change some characters around. For example, the word college, C-O-L-L-E-G-E. I can change the L's to 7s and the E's to question marks. Don't use college, okay? You have passwords for a reason. Take the time to make one that is unique and easy for you to remember, yet hard for someone else to figure out. My name is Daniel, and I'm trying to be safe.
And we're joined by Jackson Militello and Cooper, the man. Cooper, I'd say to start with you, we've been mispronouncing your last name whole episode long. Please, give it to the audience the right way.
I'm not Cooper Vance, I'm Cooper Mollett. Cooper Vance is a great guy, but I'm just not him.
Just the better version of Cooper. So, we are glad that we have got that fixed. Now that we do, let's break down baseball a little bit for the folks out there who aren't as familiar with the game, right? Cooper, being the pitcher, you have a lot of control in the game, right? So just kind of talk to what are some basic pitches? What's kind of in your arsenal that you throw?
For me, I'm a over-the-top type of guy. I have a fastball, 4-seam fastball, has a lot of ride on it. I have a curveball, a lot of depth, and I have a splitter. A little less depth in the curveball, but gets the job done. It's a good bridge pitch in between my 2 main ones.
So talk about just a little bit is how you kind of use that to kind of offset. When are you throwing the 4-seam versus the splitter versus the curveball? What kind of counts are you throwing those in?
I love my fastball. It has a lot of ride. It's a new look for a lot of hitters. It's just 50-50, to be honest. Between my fastball and curveball, I love them both equally. There's not really much I favorite more. But that splitter is kind of, like I said, it's kind of just a flash pitch, kind of keep the hitters on their toes, keep them off balance a little bit, really get them surprised.
So if you could show us, what is, for the young players out there, what is a good pitching routine look like? What is your, what's your windup look like? How do you look from the stretch?
I don't really have a windup anymore. I kind of got rid of it. I don't.
Okay. So you operate exclusively.
Yeah, I just like the stretch.
So why is that? That's a controversial thing. A lot of people, typically do the windup, especially with not runners on base. So why do you? What made you make that change?
I used to like the windup a lot, but for some reason it just didn't feel right anymore. I thought just a stretch I was able to get after it right away instead of kind of breaking it up in between the two. I was able to get a better feel early on with the stretch instead of having to all of a sudden get to it and then have to get a new feel for it.
Well, it's also an ability to better be able to keep runners on, right? And basically not allowing them to steal bases on you, right? So keeping them closer to the bag. So that's definitely a big advantage. And then I would say this is just demonstrate just a little bit. What does that stretch look like? Could you show us and demonstrate that?
Absolutely.
So stand out here, man. You need to see.
Okay,
Yeah,
absolutely.
there you go.
I'm coming here. Get the sign. Yep. Got pitch comp. It's a little wristwatch. I got it. Come set here. Get into my little preset breath. Just lift up my leg a little bit, and then go.
Now that didn't seem like a real leg kick. I'm gonna need
you know what?
to get up.
I used to have a big one. I used to have a big one all the way up here, but I got rid of it. It was too much moving parts. I had to simplify it a little more.
Okay.
So I got here. Now it's just kind of like a little parallel, and then go, and then get it. Okay. It's kind of. I think a lot of kids they like that a lot of moving parts. They really feel like they're getting back there and ripping it with every ounce of they can give it.
Oh, really?
But as you get older and you mature, you realize that it's not all about just all these moving parts. It's more about keeping it centered, really keeping it simple.
Okay. And I know you said you had to take a part of your windup. You said, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How important is it just to do what's comfortable to you and not just what's taught to you in baseball?
I think it's kind of it's really important to know how your body works. I think with this industry, there's a lot of people telling you how to do it. If you do this, this, and this, you'll hit 90 miles an hour no matter what.
Right.
Which that's not really the case. In this industry, it's whatever your body moves. Everyone's body is so different in the way that they move that it's kind of you have to figure out how you like to. Right. It's important to take control of your own training and be able to see that.
Now, Jackson, transitioning to you a little bit, playing catcher, you're kind of really, you get to see everything out in the field, and you also have a big determining factor of, how the game goes in terms of how good of a day the pitcher has, right? In terms of your calling behind the plate. For you, what's kind of your, way of building relationship with pitchers because them having that trust in you is paramount?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say I hate hitting off him.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't stand it. He's the most uncomfortable at bat you'll ever have. He comes from right here. He's 6'5" or whatever, so I don't like hitting off of him. But I will say that I think the key to building relationships is the communication off the field. And so you think you build the most relationship on the field, but really when I catch his bullpen or when we're playing catch together, that's really when I can build that relationship. And I can say, hey man, your splitter looked great today. You really were on time with your delivery, you were towards the plate. And I think more of that communication, I think if you can speak to this, but it helps me to build trust in them, that they trust me, but also that when they throw to me, they know that I'm going to help them the most that I can.
Now, the big part of catching is framing. So what is the best way to frame as a catcher, pitches? And for those of you who don't know what framing is, it's basically being able to take pitches that are thrown on the corner, basically make balls into strikes, right?
Yeah.
So it's what if you could demonstrate that, what does that look like in terms of how are you positioning your mitt to basically being able to influence, the umpire being able to change a ball into a strike?
Yeah. So I think mainly we talk about two types of balls, right? We talk about strikes, and then we talk about what's called shadow balls. So shadow balls are balls that are 1 to 2 balls off the plate. So if I'm training my framing with strikes, it's just keeping it a strike. So if it's in the zone, I don't have to do any extra movement with my hands. That ball's there, I just got to keep it there, and the umpire knows. Now, where a lot of catchers make a lot of their money is the balls 1 or 2 balls off the plate. And so I think there's a few really important tenets to that. First of all, you have to stay below the baseball. And so what I mean by that is if I have my glove right here I need to start low so that I can work up to the middle of the zone no matter where the pitch is. So if I have my target, I'll drop it, and I want to usually like to touch the ground, and then from there I'll move and I'll work wherever the ball is and try to get it back to the middle of the zone, right? So in doing that, there's two really important tenets that we talk about in our training. One is you have to have soft hands. If you're pushing like this really hard and you're using all the forearm muscles and everything, like the ball's just gonna shoot right out, right? It's like throwing at a frying pan, right?
Yeah.
If you threw it at a frying pan, that thing's going right back to the pitcher. So really having soft hands and being able to let the ball work into your glove rather than trying to force it.
You can't stab at it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right. And you can tell if you're in the stands and a catcher's doing this, it's like really loud. You don't want to notice the catcher. You want him to be like a back burner. They always said if your girlfriend notices the catcher, he's probably not a very good catcher. And so I would say the second thing that we talk about all the time is glove speed. So you got to move that ball fast every single time he comes in, because if not, I mean, if I'm an umpire and I see a dude moving his glove, right, I'm going to be like, oh, he's trying to get a strike. So if we move it fast, then he's like, oh my gosh, that looks like a strike. So I think those, if you were to pinpoint two things to work on, those are two of the biggest things.
Now, transitioning a little bit about your guys' own personal journey. You know, how did you guys first get involved with baseball to start with? And that's a question for both of you guys.
You can go first.
Yeah, so I actually played soccer for my first year when I was 5 years old, because I have a twin brother and he played baseball, and I wanted to be different, I guess. So I played soccer. I hated it. And then the next year, I played coach pitch. And honestly, it was just a really big competition with my brother. Like, I just wanted to beat him. And so we ended up getting better and better. And I think kind of from there, that relationship with him kind of built my love for the game. Now, he plays for the Atlanta Braves now, and I'm here at Eastern. But, yeah, I would say that's kind of how I got into it.
Yeah. Ever since I was a kid, my parents have always just put me in every sport possible, trying to let me figure out what I liked on my own, like putting me in lacrosse, soccer, hockey, baseball, football. And personally, for some reason when I was young, baseball just stuck with me. I really just loved it. I don't know what it was. I think it was just being outside with all my friends. For a while, it was just nice.
So how do you guys balance sport, school, and having a life outside of that?
You got that one.
Yeah. No, that's a tough one.
I don't got that
one. At this college level, you know, sports really take a lot of your time. It's really demanding on you. You have to make sacrifices for that. You know, like if, let's say on a weekday or something like that, like your friends or want to do something, you might have to not and stay in a little bit. You know, get some extra sleep that you need your body to recover. Or
9 hours.
Yep, 9 hours. 9 hours a night, man. That's what you need.
Woo!
That's what you need to recover.
That's what I haven't experienced.
So it's really all about sacrifices, you know. And I think also school takes a big part of that as well. Like you have to get your work done, especially in sports. Your coaches hold you accountable with that, so it's also a big part.
Okay, like a lot of sacrifices made.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
How do you balance that, though? Like, how do you make that choice?
Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you really just don't. Sometimes you gotta.
That's real.
Sometimes you really just gotta work it out. I don't know. Really just put your head down and grind. Sometimes you gotta make sacrifice on the sleep to get your work done.
For sure.
Well, Jackson, any closing thoughts here before we wrap it up?
Man, I just thank you guys for having us on. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it. It's been fun talking about, you know, the sport I've played my whole life. It's a great opportunity to play here at Eastern. We love our team, and you know, I just appreciate you guys having us on for sure.
Absolutely. That is going to do it for this week, Eagles. Thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for next week as we'll still have one more episode on April 11th. That was Jackson Militello and Cooper for sitting down with us today. Be sure to watch our first 2 episodes on our YouTube page.
We will be dropping an episode every other Thursday, so stay tuned for the next episode on April 11th. Have a great week, Eagles.